I remember the exact moment it happened. The conference room was silent except for the soft hum of the projector. My wife, my CEO, stood at the head of the table, glowing with that rehearsed confidence she wore like a mask. She had gathered the executive team for what she called a pivotal announcement. I already knew what it was. I'd been promised that promotion for months. Senior VP, my reward for a decade of loyalty, 12-hour days, missed dinners, weekends buried in spreadsheets while she climbed. She had whispered it to me in bed, told me it was mine, even smiled when I worked late because we were building something together. Then she said his name, not mine, his, a man who had been with the company for 2 weeks, younger, polished, smiling like he'd already known. She handed my promotion to her new boyfriend in front of the entire board, while I sat there applauding like a fool with a ring still on my finger. That was the moment I learned 2 things. My wife was sleeping with him, and my marriage was dead. We weren't always like this. When we started, she was ambitious, brilliant, magnetic. I was her anchor, steady, dependable, the one who handled the numbers while she dazzled investors. We built the company side by side, from a dingy office with peeling paint to a tower with our name on it. I believed in her, in us. She told me I grounded her. She told me we were a team. And for years, I believed every word. I thought the sacrifices were shared. I thought the long nights apart were for something bigger than either of us. Then came the distance, the late nights that weren't work, the phone turned face down, the perfume I didn't recognize. I ignored the signs, called it stress, called it pressure, until that boardroom humiliation left me no choice but to see the truth. She hadn't just betrayed me as a husband, she'd erased me as a partner. The applause faded. I kept my face calm, my breathing even. My heart wanted to shatter, but my mind was already moving. Pain turned to calculation. I knew her weaknesses. I knew her habits. I knew the company's bones because I had built them. And I knew how to make everything she thought was secure collapse in her hands. So I started quietly. First, I pulled copies of the company's financial records, the ones she never bothered to check because she trusted me with numbers. Then I traced the deals she and her new toy had been rushing through, exposing the gaps, the irregularities, the shortcuts that looked fine on paper but would rot from the inside. I gathered evidence, emails, texts, the kind of proof that doesn't just sting, it detonates. At home, I became silent, polite, controlled. She mistook it for acceptance. She thought she had me where she wanted me, humiliated, dependent, too weak to leave. That was her greatest mistake, because I wasn't staying. I was building my exit. 3 weeks later, I had everything I needed. The resignation letter was drafted, short, clean, and devastating in its timing. The divorce papers were filed, airtight with evidence of infidelity. The financial trail was packaged neatly for the board's compliance committee. And the final piece, the one that mattered most, was a simple meeting request.
Board meeting. Same room, same seats, same projector hum. But this time, the announcement was mine. I walked in with my resignation envelope in one hand, my divorce papers in the other. She smiled at me, that smug, rehearsed grin she wore when she thought she had already won. Her boyfriend sat beside her, fingers tapping nervously, as if he knew the ground beneath him wasn't as solid as she promised. I waited for silence. Then I placed both envelopes on the table. "My resignation," I said, sliding the first toward the chairwoman. "Effective immediately." Murmurs rippled across the room. My wife's smile faltered, but only slightly. She thought this was surrender. Then I placed the second envelope in front of her. "And these are for you." Her eyes flickered down. Divorce. Grounds, adultery. Backed by evidence she hadn't imagined I'd ever collect. The room froze. She went pale. Her boyfriend shifted in his seat, suddenly less polished, less sure. I leaned back, calm, measured. I thought you both deserved to hear it here, where the lies started. The fallout was instant. The chairwoman's questions turned sharp. The board demanded explanations. The evidence I had provided in a sealed folder circulated like poison through their hands. Deals exposed as reckless. Nepotism spelled out in black and white. The company's golden couple reduced to a scandal in minutes. My wife tried to speak, but every word tangled in her throat. Her boyfriend attempted confidence, but the board cut him down with questions he couldn't answer. I watched it unravel, piece by piece. The empire she thought she built alone burning in her hands. When the chairwoman turned back to me, she asked the only question that mattered. Why now? I smiled, just once. Because timing, I said, is everything. I left them there. I didn't wait for the shouting match, the accusations, the desperate attempts to salvage what couldn't be saved. I walked out of that glass tower with nothing but the echo of my footsteps and the weight of freedom. By the end of the week, her boyfriend was gone, fired, escorted out with security. By the end of the month, the board forced her to step down. Her empire dissolved, and the woman who once believed she owned everything was left with nothing. I gave her silence after that. No dramatic speeches, no second chances, just absence. The one thing she never thought I was strong enough to give her. Do I regret it? No. She played me like I was her foundation, her safety net. She forgot that I was also the one who knew every fault line beneath her. She betrayed me, erased me, replaced me. So I gave her everything she asked for, her boyfriend, her promotion, her independence. And then I handed her the bill. Now she has it all, just not me. And that, in the end, was the sharpest cut of all.